my name's Annette, and you might know me on social media as Nettersplays. And a while ago on Twitter, I posted a poll asking which game should I review. And the number one answer was Terraforming Mars. Now, Terraforming Mars was a game that I really enjoyed, and I have a video review of it, and the link is down below in the description. So if you haven't seen it, you should go check it out. But the number two answer was an older game. It's not a game that recently came out. In fact, it came out quite a while ago, and that game is Ginkgopolis. Now, Ginkgopolis is an out-of-print game. They don't make this game anymore. And in fact, I had to get this copy from Germany. So, I don't know what the appeal of this is, but the more I thought about it, I thought, well, the mechanics, definitely, because if you enjoy area control, well, this game has that. It also has drafting, it has simultaneous action selection, it has hand management, it has tile placement, it has a lot of cool things that are very appealing for gamers. So what I did in this video is I made a how to play this game along with my final review. So in case you don't want to learn how to play the game, but you want to see what it's all about, I'd suggest just skipping ahead too. So go ahead and you could click on the link down below to see the timestamps, and then you could see the review. But in case you're interested in seeing how the game is played, I'll also make that available too. So yeah, let's get to it. So these are all the components of the game. Every player is going to have a set of colors with these different types of resources they can acquire. These are the building cards labeled 1 through 20 in both red, blue, and yellow. These are the 9 starting tiles, numbered 1, 2, 3 in red, blue, and yellow. The rest of the building tiles are over here, and they're all of red, blue, and yellow 4 through 20. You have all the urbanization tiles A through L, and here are the cards A through L. Players are also going to get some shields to help them hide their agenda throughout the game. The setup is simple. All you're going to need are these starting tiles, 1, 2, 3, in all these colors. You're going to shuffle them all up. You're going to lay them down in a 3x3 grid. You're going to grab these urbanization tiles and set them A all the way around to L. You're going to grab the building cards 1, 2, 3 in all 3 colors, along with the urbanization cards A through L, and shuffle them all up. Just set that aside. You have all these building tiles which you'll shuffle up. You'll place them all face down. In a 2 or 3 player game, you're going to take out 6 of those tiles and just put them away. Make sure your victory points and your urbanization construction site pawns are aside. Also, you want to set aside the building cards labeled 4 through 20 in all 3 colors. Just leave them out to the side. Each player picks a color. The number of resources that a player uses depends on the number of players there are in the game. Each player is going to get a shield along with 2 new hand tokens. Each player is going to go ahead and pick out 3 character cards in any one of these cards, either randomly, or you can also draft them out if you're more experienced. Each player is also going to get a reference card. You're going to figure out who is first starting player, and that player is going to go ahead and shuffle this deck some more and make sure to give each player 4 cards. And now you're ready to begin. This one player picked up these 3 character cards. Now the top left corner is going to tell them what they're going to start with. So in this example, they'll start with 4 different resources along with 3 victory points and 2 tiles. So then they'll go ahead and start off with all of these items right here and these 3 points alongside with these 2 different tiles, and they're going to store this all behind their player shield right here. So So these character cards are not only going to give them these starting resources to start the game, but they're also going to give them these bonuses to help them throughout the game. So at the beginning of the game, players were given 4 cards, and the gameplay is very simple. All they're going to do is pick a card that they're going to play, they're going to go ahead and resolve the action, and then they're going to go ahead and prepare for the next turn. So those are the 3 steps that everyone's going to take together. So in the first step, we're all going to choose a card to play. So say if I were to choose this card, I get to place it face down in front of my shield, and then the rest of these cards, I'm going to go ahead and pass them to the left. With the card that you played, you can also attach a tile to it. If you're ever unsatisfied with the cards that you have, you can always use your new hand token in order to turn it in to get a new hand of cards. But the only thing is that at the end of the game, each one of these is worth 2 victory points, so you might want to hold on to them. The second step to the round is going ahead and resolving your card, or your tile. So we're going to start with the first player. The first player is going to go ahead and turn over their card and tile, possibly tile, and they're going to go ahead and resolve the actions. There's 3 definite actions that they can do. They can go ahead and exploit the card, they can urbanize, or they can construct. So let's talk about exploiting a card. Now this is an urbanization card, and you can exploit it in order to get one of these 2 different things. You can get a resource or you can get a tile. Now if you were to play one of these building cards, and no matter what different color, without a tile, then you can exploit the card by just receiving whatever the color is. So if it's a red card, you receive a resource. If it's a blue card that you exploit, you get a tile. And if it's a yellow card that you exploit, you get a victory point. So the number on these cards also come into play when you're exploiting these cards. Now, if you were to play, say, this card right here, whatever the height of this tile is in the gameplay area, whatever the height is, you're going to get that amount of success points or victory points. The same thing goes for the tiles or the resources according to that tile number. So these character cards come into play again. So whenever you exploit a card, you're going to get a benefit from that character card that you had at the beginning of the game. You're going to also acquire these different cards. But for example, if you were to exploit a card during your turn, you're also going to get an extra resource. This is the added benefit of these character cards throughout the game. So once you finish exploiting your card or playing your card, you're going to go ahead and discard that card. Another way to play or resolve your card is by playing it with a tile. Now in this case, we're going to go ahead and urbanize. That's with the letter cards. So with these letter cards, you're going to go ahead and look at where these tokens are found. For example, H card will go ahead and lead me to this H token, and then we get to play our tile there. So we get to expand our whole city, and so we'll go ahead and be able to play that tile and expand that H outwards. So whenever you urbanize and expand with a tile, you're going to have to go ahead and apply one of these resources that you had behind your screen. So you'll put it on that tile along with one of these construction site pawns on them. So if you were to urbanize and place your tile down, you also get an extra bonus. You get to utilize the tiles that are adjacent to that orthogonally. So for example, since I placed it next to this red tile right here, I get to go ahead and get an extra resource, and I get to place it behind my screen. If I were to place the tile right next to this blue tile right here, then I would go ahead and get an extra tile, and then I'll place that behind my screen. Now if I were to place that tile next to another yellow tile, then I get to get an extra victory point or success point and put that behind my screen. So it also depends on what tile you're next to, and you'll get that added benefit. So say for example this player placed this tile here and urbanized, and then they would go ahead and get 1 resource. Now if that area was too high, so meaning it has 2 tiles on it that it was too tall, then you would get 2 resources and place those 2 behind your player screen. The same thing goes with blue and yellow. You would get 2 tiles, or you would get 2 success points as well, depending on how tall it is. So after you urbanize and play your tile along with your card, you're going to go ahead and see if you have any bonus actions. Now this character card is going to give me a bonus because this symbol right here represents urbanization. Now because I urbanize, I will go ahead and get an extra victory point. So after urbanizing and playing your card and resolving it by urbanizing, you get to get this card and you discard the card. You get rid of it. Another way you can play your card is by adding a tile and constructing. Now constructing means these numbered cards. You're going to apply these numbered cards to these numbered tiles that are out here, and then you're going to go ahead and build with this tile. So for example, this blue one is pertaining to this blue 1 tile, and then I'm going to go ahead and place this tile right on top. And that's how you construct and build up. So before you place your tile, you're going to look and see if there's any other resources of any other players, including yourself, on that tile. So just by example, if there were these 2 green resources from another player, I would have to return that to them before I place my tile. I would have to return it along with 2 victory points because there were 2 of their resources there. Say for example they were your own resources. You would also return them to yourself before applying that tile, and then you won't get any victory points from that. So before you place that tile onto that space, there are a few additional costs that you might have to pay. So for example, you're going to make sure the tile that you're placing is higher than the number that it's being placed on top of. So for example, if I were to place this 4 tile on top of that 6 tile, I would have to pay the difference between the 2 values, which is 2 resources of my own. So I would need to pay these 2 resources in order to place that tile on top. Another additional cost might be the difference in color. So for example, if I wanted to place this 9 on top of that blue tile right there, I would have to change the color. So I would have to pay 1 of my own resources in order to cover up a different color. So if I were to place the 6 again on that tile, I wouldn't have to pay a difference or any additional costs. But because it's now too tall, or 2 tiles tall, I would also place 2 of my own personal resources from behind my screen, along with one of these construction site pawns, just to claim that as my own tile. If I constructed, I go ahead and look at my other cards that are in play. So since I constructed, I have this symbol right here, which will give me an added bonus, which means that I get an extra tile, and I place that behind my player screen. Now since I played this 1 card in order to construct, I get to play this card into my play area. Now for future reference, if I ever exploit a card, I'm always going to get this extra benefit of getting an extra tile. So then I can acquire more cards along the way and use their added bonus. So some of these cards are different from one another because some of them give you bonuses with the arrow throughout the game, and then this equal signs means it'll be acquired at the end of game. So once everyone has gone ahead and taken their turns and either urbanized, exploited, or constructed, the remaining cards in their hand, along with the first player marker, you're going to go ahead and pass it to the left. So from the deck of cards, each player is going to get 1 extra card in order to make a set of 4 cards all over again. And you go ahead and play the same thing over, where you go ahead and play a card with or without a tile, and then you either exploit, you construct, or you urbanize. Now if by any chance this deck ever runs out, we're going to need to go ahead and reconstruct our deck again. So we're going to go ahead and reconstruct our deck here. So for example, wherever there's one of these construction site pawns, we're going to go ahead and pull that number by that color from these decks. So the 15 will get pulled from this one. The 6 will get pulled from there. The 8 will get pulled from there. Now we get these 3 cards, we take off these construction site pawns, and then we go ahead and mix them up with our discard pile and reshuffle it all over again to assemble our new deck to draw from. Now remember, in a 2 or 3 player game, you're always going to take out the first 7 cards from play and discard them. And then after that, we're all ready to play another round of this game. Now if the draw deck of the tiles is ever exhausted for the first time, all the players are going to look at the tiles they have behind their screen. They're going to pick and choose which one all together simultaneously they want to contribute in towards another draw deck of tiles. So say for example, I'll draw in these two, another player may draw in another two, and another player may not even put any of them in. We get the remaining tiles and we create a new draw tile deck. So if the second supply of tiles is ever exhausted again, or if a player uses up all their resources, then the game is played out till the end. That'll be the final round, and then the game is over. So we're going to add up our total points. Now, any victory points that we acquire throughout the game, we're going to add those. With any other two-hand tokens that we have left over, remember they're 2 points each. We start off with 2 of them. Any cards that we acquired with an equal sign, those are the end of game score points that we're going to score. We also acquire success points according to the presence we have in each different district. Now, adding up the districts might be a little confusing at first. So any districts that are alone, for example this yellow district right here, there's no other yellow districts surrounding it that are adjacent to it. So therefore they're not going to score any points at all. So we could take those tiles out of the game. So we're going to look at this yellow district right here and see who has the majority presence in that district. So for example, the pink player has 3 of their pawns there, the black player has 3 of their resources, and the green player has 2. So it's a tie for first place between pink and black. Now, we go ahead and break the tie because black is on the taller set of tiles. They have 3 tiles they're on top of, so they will become first place. So they get a total points of however many resources in total of everyone's colors there are. So there will be a total of 8 points. So black player will get 8 points. Whoever is in second place will also get points. So for example, the pink player then becomes second place, and they will acquire 3 points because that's how many of their own personal resources they're adding to this district. So they'll get 3 points. Because green player is in third place, they get no points. It's only awarded to whoever has the first and the second most in that district. So another example would be this area right here between the black player and the pink player. There's this red district here. They both have 2 resources on each one. However, since they're both too tall, they're still tied again. But because 17 is a higher number than 15, then the pink player wins majority in that red district. So therefore, the pink player will get a total of 4 points for the total amount of resources, and black player will get 2 points because that's how many resources they contributed there. So you go throughout these different resources and you go ahead and add up each one separately. Whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins. Also, if you have no one else to play with, this game also offers a solo variation to the game itself. So this is what's behind the player screen. The players get to use this for reference to see what they do during their turn. Now for example, if they were to play a card and it was an urbanization card without a tile, they either get to take a tile and then they also get the choice of picking a resource, either one or the other. So it'll kind of guide them through what they can do, what they can't do. It'll show them how to urbanize and also how to construct and build and what additional costs they may have, along with a reminder to check your character cards or any other bonus card actions that they might receive, along with discarding or keeping a card. So this will kind of help guide them. There's no words at all, so it's all picture, it's all icons, so they can easily follow through. Alright, well, welcome back. And now I'm going to cover the review of Ginkgopolis and what I think. And the first thing I'm going to go over is the artwork and components. So the first thing you see when you look at the box is the cover art itself. And from this cover art, you think, oh, you know, it looks very beautiful, and there's also, it looks like there's a theme in this game or something. You know, what are these people talking about? You know, what holds in the future of this town of Ginkgopolis? And in the game, there's no theme whatsoever. It's an abstract game. So it's kind of deceiving in a way, but it's actually really nice. And It's a good thing that it's deceiving because without this kind of artwork, it would be very bland. So I really love the artwork in this game. It's very well presented in the cards themselves, along with the screens too. So it's very beautiful to look at when you have it all set out on the table and the tiles are all stacked and the components are there. They're all unique different colors. It's not just red and blue and green and yellow. It has pink and grays and natural tones. It's very beautiful. I like the artwork. I love the color choice. So the components and the artwork are really great in this game. So on the box of Ginkgopolis, it says that this game plays in 45 minutes. It's a fairly quick game. And it has to do with the fact that we're all selecting our choices and making our selections at the same time. It's all simultaneous action selection. So we're all doing it at once. So the game is pushed forward very fast. There's hardly any AP unless one person is just taking a really long time. But besides that, I mean, the game moves very fast. You're always picking, you're always choosing, you're always having something to do. So the game just moves along very nicely. However, with like 4 or 5 players, the game might be a little bit slower than 45 minutes. But I think 45 minutes is a really good time for this game to be played, and it holds true to the box too. So next I'm going to talk to you about the scalability or the player count of this game. Now I managed to play 1 through 5 players. So I played with all player counts of this game. The solo game itself was actually pretty good. So you get to play against an AI, and the AI's name is Hal. And Hal, pretty much, you give him a card and a tile, and then you go ahead and either expand or you move up. So you urbanize or you go ahead and build with that. So definitely the board is just in constant flux. So it provides a lot of randomness, which is kind of like what you want in a solo game too. You could try to plan these things out, but you know, it kind of throws you a curveball and the game is not as easy as you might think, which is really good for solo. Now, with 2 or 3 players, I really enjoyed the game. Now, I play this game a lot with 2 players, and I think that's the best way to play it, because if you're constantly playing this game with someone else, you get to strategize a little bit better, and it's an abstract game. Usually abstracts are pretty good with 2 player counts. It works really well with 3 too, and with 2 and 3 players it holds up to the whole 45-minute game length. However, with 4 or 5 players, I found it to just take a little bit too long because it becomes a little bit more chaotic. The board is just constantly in flux because by the time it gets to your turn, it's changed, and so I have a lot of issues with that sense because it's just something that is just so strategic with 2 players. It just changes with 4 players because it becomes more chaotic, and then it becomes tactical in that sense. So it's a different kind of play with 2 versus 4 or 5 players. So, but it still works well. So yeah, definitely the player count holds up. It's really good with all player counts in my opinion, but best with 2, 3, or even 1 player. So I kind of touched a little bit on the strategy versus the tactics in this game, and with a 2-player game it's very strategic in the sense of you drafting, because you see the cards that are being played, you pick one up, you play it, and you know what the other cards are, and you know what you're going to pass onto your opponent. Now, you know 3 out of those 4 cards that they can potentially play. So that 4th one is still a little mystery. But there's a little bit of strategy based on that because you know what you're giving your opponent. And that's the whole drafting mechanic in the game itself. So if you're familiar with drafting, it plays that mechanic very well in the game because you know pretty much what you should and you shouldn't play, but yet sometimes what you should play is not as good as what you shouldn't play. So it's a little confusing, but definitely it's strategic. Now, I already said this, but with a 4 or 5 player count, the strategy kind of loses its focus because you're drafting it to your left-handed player, to the left And then all these cards are being passed around. And by the time it comes back to you, you're just unfamiliar with what cards you're getting. You know, you can't really keep track of all those cards in play. So it becomes more tactical in the sense that you are given a hand of cards and you're just pretty much playing with the person on your left because you know what you're giving them and you have this sort of relation throughout the game with the person to your left versus with everyone else. So it's a really different game with 4 players, and it's more tactical than a strategic at that point. So the next thing I'll talk to you about is the fun factor. So what exactly makes this game fun to me? Now, a couple of things have happened in pretty much every single game, and that's the fact of just the randomness and the flux of the game board, how the tiles are being arranged, and how districts are just suddenly connected, but now they're not, or how they weren't and now they are. And just the changing of the district tiles and the color flow, and you know, all of a sudden you have majority control of the certain district and then you don't. So sometimes like just that change in that flux makes you just kind of scramble and think, oh no, you know, I plan to play this tile with this card so I can add up and just be a little bit bigger in this certain area. And then all of a sudden you're just cut off from that area because someone else played something else to kind of cut you off. And so it kind of leaves this like scrambling moment where you're just like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have done that. Now I'm going to have to figure out what else to do. And just managing that scramble is really fun in the game. Another cool thing about the game is when you run out of tiles, then everyone's going to get to decide, you know, how many tiles they should put back into the game to make it continue. Now, if you're winning, of course, you want the game to end. But if you're not, then you're going to add in some tiles too. But if you add in too many, then, you know, you won't be able to have options and stuff. So it's a really cool way. I like it at the end of the game when it becomes a little bit more stressful and you're trying to figure out how many tiles should I put in to continue the game. Should I put in 1? Should I put in 2? Or should I just not put any at all? And everyone else is doing this too, so you're not even sure if the game is going to last one more round or not. So definitely, I think those two aspects in the game, and also just passing your cards, the drafting aspect of the game is really enjoyable. So I really like picking and choosing what cards to give my opponent and which ones to kind of screw them over with. So I think that part of the game is just really fun too. So another thing I wanted to cover is the difficulty in teaching and learning this game. So as far as teaching the game, if you're the teacher and you're trying to teach the games to new gamers, I think it plays very well with the simultaneous action selection. So of course you can explain how the game works, and then when you're playing it, since everyone's doing the same thing at the same time, it'll be a lot easier to explain it to them while you're playing it. So kind of a refresher of what is actually being done. So as far as teaching, I think it's a really easy and great game to teach others. And as far as learning the game, because you're being taught the game and how the flow is working, you're simply doing the same thing over and over again in the sense of drafting and tile placement and hand management and doing all that. And so you'll eventually learn the game. And by the second or third turn, you can already learn the flow of the game and hopefully understand enough so you can figure out what to do next. And so the learning curve, in my opinion, is really low. Like, I don't think it's really hard or difficult to understand after maybe the third turn or so. Now, as far as playing with experienced players, if you're a new gamer to this, and you're learning with someone that has already played the game, I don't think you have a really good chance at winning. But because the game being so fun and everyone doing things at the same time and they're always doing something, it makes it very enjoyable. So definitely an easier game to teach and to learn, in my opinion. So the next thing I wanted to cover is the replayability or the replay value of this game too. Now, the game itself, you're always drawing new cards, you're always being drafted certain cards, and you're always drawing new tiles and placing them in different ways. So, of course, the game has a lot of replay value. Now, I've played this game well over 10 times, and I still haven't grown tired of it, because I just love dealing with the strategy of it. I love dealing with what is given to me and how I'm going to play the cards and how I'm going to pass it along. So definitely I really enjoyed the game, and I think this game has a lot to offer out of the just basic box. Now, another thing too is that the game itself offers an expansion as well. So Ginkgopolis, the expert, offers more cards and more tiles to the game. So the game itself, like, you can just basically play this game straight out of the box and have a lot of gameplay with it. But if you're growing tired of it, you can always expand and just add in a little bit more to it. So definitely there is a lot of replay value to this game. So I also wanted to mention just the interaction between players and the game tension that it actually provides because of that. So the interaction between players, of course, is not just between you and all players, but it's pretty much with the player next to you. And those cards that are being drawn and kind of what you're offering them at the end of your turn. Now, it causes a lot of stress and a lot of tension because of the change of the board, the change of the area, ways that people are playing their tiles and playing their cards too. So you always have to manage these different things, whether you want to add into the board or if you want to collect all these resources in order to do that next. So you're kind of picking what to do along with picking potential cards that you shouldn't give your opponent, and that interaction is just great. I really enjoy that, and I really love the game tension that it provides too. Now, another cool thing about the interaction between players is the change of the board. So that's how you can actually interact with all the rest of the players if you're playing more than just two. Because you're not directly interacting with the player next to you, but across from you, that board is going to change because of what they're playing. So you're always kind of in the state of flux of what to do, and you have a certain strategy that you can try to play, but you also have to figure out, is it going to be worth playing if something changes and you don't know what. So that game tension in the game is just perfect, and I really enjoy it. Which leads to my final conclusion. And I think that this game is just superb. I really love this game. It's definitely one of my favorite games of all time because of it not being just a beautiful game on the table and in play or even the cover art. It's just a great game. The way that it's playing between the players and the amount of time that you're investing into it is not that long, so you can easily play it. It's easy to teach, so you can always introduce it to new gamers and have a good time with them. It's not that difficult to play, but there's enough there to get you just learn the game and just kind of figure it out strategically and get better with time too, because there's a lot of replayability with it. So all that combined, this game is just really great, and I understand the appeal of this game, regardless of the fact that this game is just really hard to find now and it's out of print. I definitely suggest, if you see this anywhere, you should definitely pick it up, because it's really great game despite it being out of print or anything. I believe you can still purchase it, but probably in Europe, it'll probably be a lot of shipping charges. However, if you get a chance and you see it anywhere, just pick it up. So yeah, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you have any suggestions for any future games that I should review, you should definitely leave that in the comments below. You can also subscribe, and if you want to follow me, you can follow me also on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, along with Meeples included, and the Insta Gamers Network. So you can follow me all over the place if you want. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!